Hi, I'm Summer Tothill, and every week I do a Q&A on my Instagram stories with my followers where I answer questions about gender equality. I compile these here on YouTube in long form so that you don't have to spend your day tapping through Instagram stories. Let's get started with the first question.
How do you know when to stop working on your marriage? I think I'm done, but guilty that I'm giving up.
So you're feeling guilty because you're feeling pretty much done with your marriage, but there's a lot of shame associated with this idea that you didn't work hard enough at it. How do you know when to stop working on your marriage? Well, I think there is a huge myth going around that divorce rates are high these days because young people are not willing to put in the work. Good relationships are not hard work. And if the romantic relationship that you are in is hard work, then it is not a good relationship. Of course, in relationships, circumstances can be hard, but the basic interpersonal dynamics and the relations at the center of the relationship should be robust and respectful and should actually support you to get through those hard work times, but the relationship itself should not be hard work. Our partners are supposed to be our helpers, not the ones bringing extra psychic or material trouble into our lives. They certainly shouldn't be the ones who disrespect us and exploit us the most, who make us feel bad all the time, who make us question ourselves, who gaslight us, who lie to us, who betray us, who use our bodies in ways that aren't pleasurable to us. None of that should be work. I find it really simple to think about it like this. None of my relationships with my friends are hard work. If you know what a healthy friendship looks like, you can run a friendship without much hard work, right? A romantic relationship is just, in theory, a good friendship with sexual intimacy attached, unless you are asexual. So a romantic relationship should not be more complicated, should not be more filled with strife than any of your friendships. You should feel the same level of support and cheerleading and championing as you do with your closest and most respectful and favorite friends. If your partner has ceased to act like a friend, or if your relationship has ceased to contain any friendship, having to work really hard to get those basic goodwill and support feelings back is not good. Patriarchy teaches women to value romantic connections so highly that we can be very unwilling to end them even when they are obviously bad for us. You have your reasons for being done with your marriage. Nobody has to stay in a marriage. Nobody has to stay in an abusive relationship. Nobody has to stay in a situation that is bad for them. And if you feel like your marriage is relentlessly hard work, then it is bad. And if there is one thing I would like to achieve with my feminism, it is teaching women to stop viewing romantic relationships as work. Either they are, most of the time, a pleasure, like I'm talking 96% of the time they are a pleasure, or get the fuck out, because there isn't anything for you to gain from a romantic relationship with a man that is worth what you are losing.
If marriage and living together are overrated, do I just date my boyfriend forever?
This is a great question. I'm sure a lot of people go through this in their mind, especially feminist women who are in romantic relationships with men who are reaching a point where they may feel like something needs to develop or change. It needs to lead to marriage or at least to domestic cohabitation, but you're also chafing against these messages that feminists like me are putting out there, reminding us that marriage to a man is not necessary and it can be detrimental, and statistically it will be, and that domestically cohabitating with a man is not all it's cracked up to be and can have negative effects as well. It can be really, really hard to then look at all those factors and decide, well, what is the next step? What do we do next? So let's think about what it means to be married, what it means to domestically cohabitate, and what it means just to date someone theoretically forever or until you break up. Marriage doesn't necessarily have to be all that different than domestically cohabitating with someone, especially in Australia. I'm not sure if it's federal or by state, but if you domestically cohabitate with a romantic partner for more than 2 years, you will be considered de facto, and therefore if you break up, you will actually have to go through a financial settlement, so like a debt and asset settlement, just as if you had been married. So you may wish to consider that in your decision. One of my biggest defenses against marriage is that divorce is very, very hard and very, very expensive, and it can be very, very easy to be trapped in a relationship that's no longer healthy for you if you are legally married to someone. I think one thing you really have to think about is the legal implications of marrying the person that you want to marry, depending where you live, what country, what state. Marriage can result in things like reducing your healthcare like rebates and your healthcare insurance in the US, whereas in some countries it might increase your access to healthcare. For LGBTIQ plus couples, getting legally married can, in some cases, insure them against being denied access to each other in healthcare scenarios. So I think when it comes to marriage, the most important thing is to actually weigh up your legal obligations, any additional legal protections you might receive from the marriage, against any legal risks and financial risks and potentially health-related risks. Okay, if we take marriage out of the equation, legal marriage, and we keep in the part where you are a woman domestically cohabitating with a man, that tends to be the part where we see the biggest problems. So a lot of the studies that I have talked about and that you may have seen that show that women are much more miserable and have poorer well-being in marriage also by necessity mean that they were in a relationship where they domestically cohabitated with a man. And so was the problem the marriage? We know that women get sick of their male partners sexually faster than men get sick of their female partners, and there seems to be a causal relationship there with living with a man, because we get sick of men even faster. We get over having sex with them even faster if we live with them. So the linchpin there is the domestic part. There's no real surprise in that, because we know that men statistically don't pull their fair share of domestic labor, their child-caring labor. They prioritize their own leisure. They tend to prioritize their own career and not make allowances for their female partner's career or make any sacrifices to avoid her falling afoul of the motherhood penalty. So I guess the last thing we have left is, what would it be like to just date your boyfriend forever? That sounds really nice to me. Dating is nice. But of course, are you living alone and are you financially stressed? It can be really, really tempting to move in with our romantic partner, because that will halve some of our bills. Not all of them, but it will make a really big impact on our finances generally. But I guess the thought experiment I want you to do is, could I not just achieve that by moving in with a girlfriend or a sibling, or just finding a housemate who I really gel with? And we can just go back and forth to each other's house, having romantic dates, not getting sick of each other, not having to see each other's shoes by the door, hair in the bathtub. You're losing some of that romantic mystery and being regularly reminded of all the ways that our male partners fail us by not picking up after themselves, by not doing the dinner and dishes as often as we do, by not organizing any of the household admin or organizing enough. If you don't have to have that strife in your life, then do you have to have it?
That's it for this Q&A. Thank you so much for listening. Find me on Instagram at summertothill. That's summer with an O, spelt the same way as you see in this YouTube channel. I can't wait to see you there.